Just watching Antonio Conte, the Chelsea coach, who has been here and been beaten this season in the EFL Cup. Strangely, tonight it's one of those nights where he is wearing his formal attire, as it were, his black jacket, black trousers, his I think it's a cardigan, black tie, white shirt. Just watched him take a water bottle and absolutely soak his hands, soaking wet. Very strange.
It might be a superstitious thing, maybe dating back to when he was a player. Maybe he just had to do that as part of his ritual.
Yeah. Anyway, the teams are out there. West Ham, claret and blue shirts, white shorts, claret and blue socks. Chelsea in the almost all black away kit with the luminous green trim. And the teams, if you haven't heard, West Ham making just the one change from their previous starting lineup when they drew 1-1 at Watford last weekend, match in which Michail Antonio was sent off. So Antonio is suspended for this match, but Andy Carroll is back after 2 matches out with his latest injury, a groin injury it was. But Carroll will lead the line. The West Ham team: Randolph, Kouyaté, Font, Reed and Cresswell, Noble and Aubameyang, Feghouli, Snodgrass, Lanzini and Carroll. And Chelsea named the same team from their last league game, the 3-1 win against Swansea at Stamford Bridge. So Courtois, Azpilicueta, Luiz and Cahill, Moses, Kante, Fabregas and Alonso, Pedro, Costa and Hazard, who is fit. Well, the noise is good inside the London Stadium for this London derby between the leaders Chelsea and West Ham, and immediately David Luiz sending a long pass forward to Pedro inside the penalty area, trying to catch West Ham out, but it was Pedro couldn't control it and it bounced through for a goal kick.
Well, it was nearly a fantastic pass from David Luiz, straight from the kick-off back to David Luiz at the centre of that back three, and Pedro made an unbelievable run straight from the kick-off, sprinted in behind Winston Reid and nearly just got on the end of a 50-60 yard pass from Luiz.
Philip Neville with us for the commentary here on 5 Live tonight. Premier League winner with Manchester United, former Everton captain, and we're watching West Ham 0, Chelsea 0. West Ham in the first half attacking from left to right, so towards the Sir Trevor Brooking stand, as the right hand side as we look here is named. I can still see quite a number of empty seats available around the ground in the claret and blue and white, so not absolutely full. The Chelsea supporters are in 2 sections to our right. It's got 2 distinct levels at either end, and the Chelsea supporters have got one area on the lower level and then one up in the stands as well. And it is Chelsea bringing the ball away from the back. Here is Gary Cahill just walking it forward, and it's funny, you know, sitting here as we do now, looking around this vast bowl of a stadium, it feels like it's a huge pitch out there. Here's Pedro on the halfway line, plays it square to Kante, then a little touch here to Cahill, who's able to move over the halfway line. West Ham in these very early stages quite content to sit off the leaders, so Chelsea have possession. Cahill still well inside the West Ham half, and he's dispossessed by Feghouli, so West Ham have got it back inside their own half. A little touch from Lanzini. Now it's forward from the right back, as he is at the moment, Kouyaté, the number 8, who gets another chance now with the ball, chests it down. He's a huge figure, black gloves on, up towards the halfway line where the ball is flicked by Snodgrass, but it's won back by Chelsea. Moses is taking it on, but good challenge on him from Aubameyang to dispossess Victor Moses. And West Ham play a long high ball for Carroll to chase, and he collides with Luiz, who did well actually with the arriving presence of Andy Carroll. Luiz did well to head that away.
No, he did do well, and you see the reaction of the crowd. That got the crowd up, because Andy Carroll threw himself at that header. A long pass forward from Aaron Cresswell. We spoke a lot about Carroll in the build-up to this game, but the key is definitely the wide players. Get the service into the box.
Here's Chelsea's dangerous number 10. Hazard is chopped down by Kouyaté on the left wing, and a free kick. Certainly Andre Mariner, the referee tonight, that's an easy one to give.
It was an easy one. Kouyaté found himself out of position. It'll be a big battle down that left hand side. Kouyaté's not normally a right back, and he'll have to be at his best tonight to look after Hazard.
So we've got the little figure of the former Arsenal captain Cesc Fabregas, who is in form, Chelsea's number 4, just waiting to play in this free kick from a dangerous position. Luiz is making a run round the back, and Fabregas swings it in. I think he was aiming for Luiz, but he got it all wrong, and it just curled into the gloves of Darren Randolph, the West Ham goalkeeper.
Yeah, it was a good early catch for Randolph. Just slightly overhit from Cesc Fabregas. He'd be disappointed with that. An early free kick put the West Ham back four under pressure.
So West Ham 0-0 with Chelsea here. Chelsea, who tonight, if they win, will restore their 10-point lead at the top of the Premier League, as another free kick goes Chelsea's way. Chelsea wanted to take that quickly, Fabregas, but there was no way that was going to be the case, because the Chelsea player Hazard, who was bundled over, this is the second time in the space of a few seconds, having been a doubt for this game anyway because of the knock that he had in training, he was fouled by Aubameyang, and it's a free kick, and Hazard limps away, but he's okay, I think. Still just showing one or two effects, but Chelsea take the free kick short, cleared away on the edge of the area, comes back for Chelsea. Now here's Pedro, he's another one who's bang in form. Here's Diego Costa, who turns but is challenged, so West Ham have got it back on the left hand side, and here they go towards the halfway line, and it's just rolled back into central defence for Reed and Font. Jose Font, relatively early on in his West Ham career, the 33-year-old who was signed in the recent window, Euro 2016 winner with Portugal. Winston Reid now, the New Zealander, bringing it forward. Now it's on the left hand side and played back into the centre circle towards Lanzini. It's low pass out here to the right hand side to Feghouli. Feghouli now back to Noble, West Ham captain. And now Kouyaté on the right hand side has a little foray down the right wing, slips it forward. Fegouli's onside. Feghouli with a cross, looking for Carroll. It's headed away, well headed away by Moses. Beat Carroll, comes out, shot is deflected, and Courtois is unable to keep it in. It was, and in fact there's a player down, it's Andy Carroll on the edge of the 6-yard box. After that challenge from Moses, it's going to be a corner to West Ham, but Carroll is flat on his face, and now actually just begins to move, just rolls over onto his side, and now tries to haul himself to his feet.
Well, it was brilliant defending from Victor Moses. The cross comes into the box from Feghouli, just heads the back of the head of Victor Moses, Andy Carroll. It's been a good start from West Ham though.
Yeah, just seeing that again, Phil. It was just on the follow through as he tried to head it. It was his nose into the back of his head, wasn't it? Nose into the back of Moses' head. Yeah, and he's cut himself. Now there's a cut on the bridge of his nose, just above his left eye, and there's blood.
Well, it was a good cross from Feghouli, just stood it up to the far post. You see Azpilicueta and Moses back there, not used to really, their prominent strengths aren't heading the ball. You'd fancy Andy Carroll, but it was fantastic defending from Moses. He just headed the back of Victor Moses' head, and there is blood coming out of the bridge of his nose there.
So there's a little stoppage here because Andy Carroll will need treatment, and it looked like quite a big cut actually, maybe a centimetre long, maybe more than that. So he's up on his knees now, and they're trying to stem the flow of the blood, but he's going to need to be, well, he can't be bandaged up there. It's going to have to be a sort of Vaseline job, a bit like a boxer, isn't it?
Well, they have that glue now that acts as a stitch that glues the cut together.
He might have to leave the field for a little while.
It looks like it, because he's not getting on his feet yet, which is a bit of a worry for Slaven Bilic, because he would not want to lose Andy Carroll so early on in this game.
No, with Antonio suspended for this match, their top scorer this season with 8 goals across all of the competitions, and West Ham among their substitutes today, they've got Andre Ayew among the subs, as well as the Argentine Jonathan Caleri. But now Andy Carroll is applauded by the home supporters, cheered by one or two of the Chelsea fans. He has got a decent record of scoring against Chelsea in recent matches, so he's being helped off the field behind the goal, and West Ham will take this corner with only 10 men on the field. So it's Snodgrass to swing it in, left-footed to the edge of the 6-yard box, and a flying Courtois punches it away. What distance on the punch. Hazard then gives it to Pedro, and Pedro, trying to give it back to Hazard, gave him no chance and smashed a pass which whipped past Hazard out of play for a throw into West Ham.
Well, it was a good opportunity for Chelsea there. It was 3 for 3 at the back, and it was a brilliant layoff from Eden Hazard, and he went for the second pass, and it was Pedro that just overhit the second pass through, went out for a throw-in.
So West Ham 0, Chelsea 0, BBC 5 Live, and Carroll now just trotting back towards the halfway line on the far side of the ground from us, and West Ham playing it through the middle, but pass intercepted on the halfway line by Fabregas, but it bounced back to West Ham. Now it's up to Feghouli, the shaven-headed Algerian World Cup player, through the middle, a little touch from Snodgrass, Now out to the left-hand side to Lanzini, who looks up, goes for the high diagonal ball. Carroll's back on the field challenging for this, beaten by Marcus Alonso, by the left wing back for Chelsea. Feghouli again, little ball in field. Lanzini is there. Lanzini rolling it out to the left-hand side. Cresswell now, one touch, then whips it into the penalty area where it is headed away by David Luiz. West Ham back in possession in the central third. Feghouli now out to the right-hand side here to Kouyaté. Feghouli continues his run down into the full-back position, but Gary Cahill came across and slid in for the challenge and has completely ripped his shirt in two. His shirt is ripped from waist to under his arm. That's extraordinary.
I think the referee is actually telling him he's got to change his shirt there.
Well, he'll have to.
The kit man. It was Feghouli that just steps on the back of Cahill's shirt as Cahill slid in on the floor.
It's like the Incredible Hulk. Suddenly his shirt just ripped asunder. So they'll need another shirt for Gary Cahill. 0-0. Throw-in taken and the return to Feghouli. He wasn't able to keep it in. In fact, I think he was in an offside position, so it's a free kick to Chelsea deep inside their own half. So where's Cahill's new shirt? Well, they're trying to find one. They're trying to rustle one up the kit man, but he's actually tucking it now. The two sort of torn pieces are being tucked into the back of his shorts. Free kick. Andy Carroll is saying, come on, what's going on? Now the shirt have they got a shirt? Yes, they have. The little kit man has appeared. Gary Cahill peels off his shirt and has thrown a brand new number 24 to put on. So West Ham 0, Chelsea 0.
I can't believe they're keeping Gary Cahill off the pitch there. The kit man's thrown in the shirt and they've made him stay off the pitch while he's put the shirt on.
Just hand it over the line and put it on.
Just let him play.
West Ham 0, Chelsea 0. Here we are at the former Olympic Stadium, the London Stadium as it's called now, on the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park. And my attention has just been drawn to a former Olympic gold medal winner who's sitting up here to our right, Mark Hunter, the gold medal winner from 2012, double Olympic gold medalist, who was with me in Rio at the Games last year. So it's really good to see him here. We'll have a little chat with him at half-time. But here's Fabregas for Chelsea in the centre circle. Fabregas playing it through to Costa. Costa was buffeted from two sides. And now Hazard back to Costa. Challenge comes in. This challenge for West Ham coming in from Snodgrass, and the ball rolls out of play on the far side. Look quite well organised tonight, West Ham, so far.
Yeah, there's 10 minutes gone. That's the first touch I've seen from Diego Costa so far in this game, because they're so compact, West Ham, when Chelsea have got possession of the ball around the halfway line.
And West Ham win it back with Snodgrass on the left-hand side. Snodgrass taking on Azpilicueta down the left-hand side. There's no one inside the penalty area for West Ham. Snodgrass, well, he's been able to get past two of them there. Still going. David Luiz comes across. The ball runs into the Chelsea penalty area and should be passed away by Fabregas. But excellent persistence from Robert Snodgrass on the left-hand side for West Ham.
It was. I mean, he was looked like he was going down a dead end because there's no supports for him whatsoever, so he just had to keep dribbling and dribbling. He did really well to go in between Fabregas and Azpilicueta. There's just no support for him. Andy Carroll's got to get over there and give him a little bit of an option.
That's Philip Neville with us on 5 Live. West Ham 0, Chelsea 0. And over the last couple of days, the teams now in 2nd, 3rd and 4th place, all won. So the leaders are coming here to a stadium which is one of the few venues Antonio Conte's Chelsea have been beaten this season. Only 4 defeats in all competitions, and they've all come in London, whether it's Stamford Bridge or elsewhere. White Hart Lane, the Emirates, and here in East London. Gary Cahill with the ball at his feet, just inside his own half. Passes the ball over a course of 10 yards to Diego Costa, Chelsea's 17-goal top scorer. Fabregas now plays it through the middle to Hazard. Azpilicueta with a touch. Moses on the right-hand side. Moses, who was here on loan at West Ham last season, remember, is then challenged and challenged well by Snodgrass, and it bounces out of play for a throw-in to Chelsea, which is taken back towards the halfway line. Fabregas chosen ahead of Matic again for this game. Fabregas lifts it over the top, but way beyond little Hazard, and bounces through to Randolph.
No, it was a good interchange between Pedro and Fabregas. You saw the run of Hazard just over it, the pass there, Cesc Fabregas.
And Chelsea winning it back now on the halfway line. Feghouli lost it, so it's been taken on by Kante. Now Costa, who's on the left wing effectively. Costa swings over a pass towards Moses on the right, but up went Cresswell to win the header with Moses arriving. Won it well and keeps it in on the left hand side, but slices the pass, although it's kept in play by Azpilicueta. So Chelsea will start again from the halfway line. Chelsea currently with only 35% possession. Early days though, in the first 15 minutes of the game. And Chelsea playing from right to left. The ball just in front of where the two coaches, Antonio Conte and Slaven Bilic, are standing. Bilic with that pose that only Bilic can manage, which is, he must have back problems because he leans forward with his hands on his thighs as Chelsea play the ball out to Alonso on the left-hand side, who can't keep it in. So it's a throw into West Ham on the right-hand side. Sometimes the way that he walks with his hands in his pockets, he looks like he's approaching his old age pension sometimes.
Well, there's a lot of miles on that clock. You see the way he can't even straighten his knees there. Both knees are a little bit wobbly. He was a tough centre-half.
You must have played against him, Phil?
Yeah, I did. He was always a tough competitor. He played for my club Everton and did really well for West Ham as well.
Yes. And now doing well in his second season as the West Ham manager. Fabregas plays the ball over the top. It's headed down, only partially away. Pedro's onto this. Pedro trying to find a position on the edge of the D. In comes the challenge from Noble. To send it back to Randolph, all in bright orange, with a long pass downfield to Carroll, who jumps high and wins it above Azpilicueta. So Snodgrass now on the left-hand side. Snodgrass whips the ball in, but it's beyond Andy Carroll. In fact, Fegouli's caught up with it on the right-hand side. Feghouli now going one way and the other. Plays it back towards Noble. Noble's ball in, headed away near the penalty spot. We've already seen a trend developing here. West Ham looking to swing the crosses into the penalty area for Andy Carroll, and you can't blame them for that. West Ham coming again. Obiang to the left-hand side. Snodgrass again. It's another high, deep cross looking for Carroll. Cahill gets there first with his head for Chelsea, and it's headed further away by Alonso. But West Ham pick up possession once again. Noble then back towards the halfway line.
Well, how many times have we seen it already? Getting to that left-hand side with Snodgrass and him firing them balls into the box. It's definitely something that they want to exploit. The weakness in the air of Chelsea.
Yeah, it's got a little touch of the old-fashioned about this, Phil, hasn't it? With West Ham looking to swing the crosses in for the big man. Here's another ball in from Obiang from a more central area. Didn't reach Carroll. Was headed away this time by Azpilicueta. West Ham again though with Lanzini, who makes a run towards the edge of the area, lays it out to Snodgrass on the left hand side, couple of touches, low ball in this time. Luiz's clearance is deflected back into the penalty area, but Courtois was quick and out and caught it.
Well, it was a low cross from Snodgrass and it was Luiz that tried to clear the ball. It ricocheted off Cesc Fabregas. Andy Carroll just switched off for a minute. I think what West Ham have got to do here, they're putting in crosses and they've got Andy Carroll in there, they've got to mix it up. And I think the Chelsea defenders at the moment are enjoying this battle.
West Ham 0, Chelsea 0, with just over a quarter an hour played. Snodgrass again against Moses, crossed, blocked by Moses behind. It's a corner to West Ham, their second of the game. This one from the far side, their left.
Snodgrass is having a great start to the game down that left hand side. He's getting lots of opportunities to have a goal 1v1 versus Victor Moses.
Corner, Snodgrass actually leaves this for Lanzini. Robert Snodgrass, another one of the January arrivals, just over £10 million from Hull City. So Lanzini with the corner, so it'll be an in-swinger with his right foot. All eyes on Andy Carroll. But of course, Reed carries a threat as well. Here it is, Lanzini plays it deep. Carroll after it, but Cahill went with him. And the final touch was off the Chelsea man, and it looped behind the far post, and it's a corner to West Ham from the right.
Oh, they've defended every cross brilliantly so far. Chelsea, they look really well organised on the cross.
They must have been prepared. They knew that Antonio wasn't going to be playing in this game, so Chelsea must have prepared for the aerial threat, you would think. Snodgrass with the corner from the right-hand side. Snodgrass into the 6-yard box. Courtois comes, got a punch to it. I think he got a hand to it against Reed, who was the West Ham player closest to it. It's cleared away, and Luiz was actually caught there by Kouyaté over in the Chelsea right-back area as he looked to clear it. And the free kick's been given Chelsea's way.
No, it was an overhit cross. It was a brilliant cross in from Snodgrass. I think Courtois was struggling to deal with it.
And Luiz has actually he's climbed to his feet. He has had one or two injury problems, but yet has been an ever-present in the Premier League since he rejoined Chelsea this season, Louise. But I get the feeling sometimes that they're sort of patching them together game by game. Chelsea giving it away, but West Ham can't take advantage. But now Cahill's out of position, and Obiang is going for an overhit pass. That's awful. Straight out of play on the far side, although Snodgrass actually applauds the intent from Obiang, but it's a throw in Chelsea.
Well, he made the wrong options. Feghouli on this right-hand side, because Marcos Alonso had gone to the ball, there was bags of space for Feghouli. You just got to be patient when the ball goes into the wide areas, not always just look for Andy Carroll.
West Ham 0, Chelsea 0. And Pedro playing the ball over the top, but Hazard tried to flick it on. Then Pedro is caught there by a sliding Feghouli. He was clever there, Pedro. Just dinked it out of the way, and then made sure he got out of the way. Although there was a glancing blow, but it's a free kick which is taken short. 0-0. 5 Live on this Monday night. Next Monday night we'll have commentary on Chelsea for you as well. The FA Cup tie between Chelsea and Manchester United at Stamford Bridge, which has to be decided on the night, remember. So that should be quite a night. You're going to be there, aren't you?
Yep, live on BBC. It's going to be an unbelievable occasion there at Stamford Bridge. I'm so Jose will want to revenge the thumping he took earlier on in the season.
Yes, live across the BBC. All 4 of the quarter-finals you'll be able to hear on Saturday, Sunday and Monday here on 5 Live. Chelsea coming forward here in this Premier League game, but the ball is hooked away on the edge of the penalty area. Shouts for handball. Noble saying that Gary Cahill used an arm to control that. Hazard plays it through. Danger here, Costa, but in comes a little challenge from Lanzini to nip it away from Diego Costa. And now Lanzini's quickly back into the action. Yeah, they've been set up well for this game, West Ham. You know, giving Chelsea no space at all. Costa in the dangerous area there. He had claret and blue all round him.
Yeah, every time Costa, Pedro and Eden Hazard gets the ball, they always get somebody, 2-3 men round them.
Oh, lovely from Lanzini. He went round Kante, but then in came David Luiz to sweep it away from him. West Ham again, this time the ball on the right-hand side. And Kouyaté has to go back into his own half. 0-0. Chelsea's last 2 Premier League away games have ended 1-1 away from home. Against Burnley, one of the most difficult places to go in the Premier League this season. And before that at Anfield against Liverpool. And here, 0-0. Fabregas can't reach that, so Carroll now in a deeper position takes it on. Kante came in with a challenge, caught him. Carroll went sprawling down, and it's a free kick halfway between the centre circle and the penalty area.
Yeah, it was a tackle from behind from Kante. He's normally so good at dispossessing people when he's in around, but he just clipped the heels of Andy Carroll.
So a free kick in a good position. Carroll back up on his feet. They've managed to patch up that cut over his eye, and he's walking now towards the edge of the penalty area. Oh, it's taken short to Feghouli in the box on the right, but the referee's saying, hang on, I haven't blown the whistle. So we'll have to take it all the way back to be taken again, so they won't try that again. Kouyaté has come up. I mean, he's got a great height, Kouyaté, the right back, and he's positioning himself. In fact, West Ham have Carroll and Kouyaté currently beyond the defensive line. Snodgrass swings it in beyond the line, but it bounces through harmlessly to Courtois.
No, the Chelsea back 5 or 6 there were so high, so it was very difficult for Snodgrass to get that ball up and down, and in behind the back 5 or 6 there that were defending the box there for Chelsea.
It's very much a Conte way, that, isn't it, to defend with the high line, even in a position like that where it's a central free kick, to hold the line right on the edge of the penalty area.
Well, I think the reason behind it is you keep the centre forward and Andy Carroll further away from goal as possible, and back your keeper to come off his line and sweep a keeper. You see Luis Enrique do it at Barcelona as well.
Yeah. It's Phil Neville with us. West Ham 0, Chelsea 0, BBC 5 Live. And more Premier League commentary on Wednesday night when Manchester City have that rearranged game against Stoke, so you'll hear that. Ian Dennis and Andy Townsend will be with the commentary from Manchester on Wednesday, and tomorrow I'll tell you more in a moment. Fabregas with the ball just forward of the centre circle, angles the pass, but Costa went one way, the ball went the other, and West Ham have got it again. Lanzini, now Mark Noble curls the pass out to the right hand side to Feghouli, who turns and cuts back towards the halfway line. Alonso right there with him, and now it finds its way to Obiang, middle of the Chelsea half. Back it comes to Obiang, now centrally to Feghouli, and then West Ham again back into their own territory. Chelsea quite happy to allow West Ham to have more possession than they're enjoying at the moment. Obiang out to Cresswell on the left hand side. Cresswell's high cross into the box, Carroll approaching but headed away by Gary Cahill. Did well Cahill as West Ham win a free kick for the challenge centre field by Hazard. And this is in a dangerous position. It was Mark Noble, he bundled over as the two of them went for the ball. Free kick West Ham. What's this, 30 yards out? Not quite that.
Well, you didn't see Mark Noble come behind him there, Eden Hazard. Again, it's a cross from that left-hand side, and again Chelsea defend it so well. It's a sloppy foul to give away from Hazard in another dangerous area.
This back three, this Chelsea back three, have different qualities, don't they? Azpilicueta, Luiz and Cahill. And this tonight is a night for Cahill, his aerial strength.
Well, he's been brought up by heading crosses away from his Bolton days, Aston Villa days. He will be loving this tonight, that physical contact with Andy Carroll.
Well, it looks like Lanzini, doesn't it, Phil, with the free kick? As I say, somewhere between 25 and 30 yards out. Lanzini to the left of the ball, Snodgrass to the right.
I think Snodgrass will fancy it as well. Two good takers from free kicks.
They are, they're both capable. Well, it is Lanzini who comes up first. He strikes it into the wall low, which didn't look the full 10 yards. They looked as though they'd encroached beyond the disappearing line. As Kante wins the ball back in the left back position, and now Kante is away and Chelsea are away in the black shirts over the halfway line. Hazard infield to Pedro back to Hazard, big danger here. Hazard in the box, round the keeper, scores! Chelsea lead 1-0. Counter-attack superb from the Premier League leaders, and Hazard tucks it away for his 11th goal of the season, and it's West Ham 0, Chelsea 1.
A devastating counter-attack from Chelsea. West Ham were doing so well. It's from there. There's a supporter just run on the pitch trying to get to Hazard there over on that far side. But it was Snodgrass that gave it away in his own half, and it was just all about the speed, the combination play between Hazard and Pedro. Hazard's clearly onside. Brilliant ball through from Pedro, and such calm, composed finish from Eden Hazard. Devastating counter-attack.
That spectator who came onto the field has been moved away over the advertising hoardings. Now that's nowhere near the Chelsea end where their supporters are, and everything's okay, it would seem. You know, David Luiz was talking to the referee Andre Mariner and the assistant over there on the far side, so it looks as though everything's okay. Did worry just for a moment or two there. You never quite know, do you?
He got quite close as well. It wasn't for the quick thinking of the steward to sense the danger, but that goal was absolutely devastating. We've not seen much of Hazard and Pedro so far in this game.
No, but one chance, that's what they needed.
One chance, one goal, one mistake for West Ham, because Slaven Bilic would probably be standing down there thinking, we're doing actually quite well in this game.
Well, 11 goals in all competitions now for Eden Hazard, who's having another excellent season. All of them in the Premier League, incidentally. And well, he was given the goal of the month, wasn't he, on the match of the day last night, your programme last night, for that fantastic goal that he scored against Arsenal. And he is right up there in terms of the contenders for player of the season.
I mean, I think he's been sensational. He's back to the form that we saw 2 seasons ago. He had a dip last season, not like him at all. But Conte is definitely getting the best out of him, and I think you've got to say that Pedro as well. This is the player that we saw at Barcelona for all those years.
Yeah, this is we're seeing the best of him now, aren't we? As West Ham play the ball over the top, this is for Noble, but Courtois is able to come out and take the bouncing ball.
I think the Pedro we saw last season was someone that was struggling to adapt to the physicality of the Premier League. What we're seeing this season is in a slightly different role that Conte's putting him in. He's not playing wide anymore, he's got a freer role. His assists, his goals that he scored, his movement off the ball and his unselfishness for the team, I think is a key cog in this unbelievable machine that he's built, Antonio Conte.
Yeah, and you've got to be good to get yourself ahead of Willian, you know, last season's player of the year for Chelsea.
I think Antonio said it last week, Antonio Conte, that he's embarrassed sometimes having to leave Willian out because he's such a good player.
Yeah, and it says a great deal, I think, about Willian, the fact that he has, it would appear to us from the outside, accepted that role for the time being, and when he comes on he really contributes. But Pedro is the main man in that position on the right side of the attack, and the two of them, the understanding there between Hazard and Pedro was clear for all to see here inside the London Stadium. So Hazard with a goal, but Pedro himself, who scored 8 goals in his last 11 appearances, and that's now 4 assists in the space of that time. West Ham 1-0 down. Chelsea in front again. Here's Lanzini crossing from the left-hand side, but Courtois is able to come to the edge of his 6-yard box and beyond, catch the ball and then give it out quickly to Alonso. And Chelsea moving from deep inside their own half. Fabregas turns it to the right. Chelsea supporters singing their songs in their sections, which are very much surrounded by stewards in day-glow jackets, either orange or yellow, and that's where the atmosphere is coming from at the moment inside the stadium. And West Ham, who promised so much but caught out by that flashing counter-attack. West Ham 0, Chelsea 1. Kante out of the left-hand side to Diego Costa, who's really struggled to get into the game. They've patrolled him well, but he finds a pass to Alonso. Feghouli, though, was tracking back with Alonso and was able just to scrape it away for West Ham. Chelsea again. Moses now to Pedro. Pedro heads it into his own path inside the area, and then just at the point where you thought he'd take that on and create yet another chance, got the ball caught up underneath his feet and West Ham cleared.
Well, it's poor from Pedro, because with a great position, he was free 1v1 with Winston Reid in the box and just tripped over the ball. But there's a lull in the stadium. There's an eerie feeling now after a great start from West Ham.
West Ham 0, Chelsea 1. Chelsea coming into this game on a 9-match unbeaten run since they lost that really good game against Tottenham at White Hart Lane, when they lost out to 2 aerial goals. But here, against the aerial presence of West Ham, Chelsea have stood up very well so far, as the ball rolls out of play for a throw into West Ham just inside their own half.
Antonio Conte is going absolutely crazy at his back three there. Luiz, Azpilicueta and Gary Cahill. I think he believes that they're not passing it quick enough.
Play back underway, headed forward by Fabregas. Comes back to the bearded Fabregas, who has a sort of fly kick at it, volleys it down the left wing. Hazard, incredibly quick, keeps it in, and then really did well to prevent it from going out for a goal kick. Just tapped that out for a throw-in.
Well, it was unbelievable how he caught that ball. I thought he was just going to go out for a throw-in. Kouyate had taken his time because he thought the same.
What a turn of speed that was over at 10
He went
yards.
up 2 or 3 gears there, Hazard, just like he did for the goal, him and Pedro.
I mean, it was the way that the goal came from deep inside the Chelsea half, and it was just a brilliant combination of Hazard and Pedro returning the pass to each other. And then Hazard, his eyes lit up, didn't it? As he approached the penalty area, there were defenders coming back. Randolph came out. Here's Luiz playing a long ball over the top for Pedro, but it bounces through to Randolph. And then, as he tried to skate round the goalkeeper to the right, went past him and just slid it in low.
Well, the minute that Snodgrass gave it away, just on the edge of his own box, and Kante fed it into Pedro and Hazard, you see them, they just came alive, their eyes lit up. The speed in which they went from box to box was electrifying.
And so they lead 1-0. And now the ball is volleyed away by Azpilicueta. Feghouli stretches, almost sets Chelsea off on a counter-attack. And in fact, Kouyate has fouled Hazard just inside the Chelsea half, and referee Mariner is going to have a word with Kouyate. David Luiz runs across and puts his head right up to Andre Mariner's ear and whispers something to him.
Well, was it Kouyate that actually went through the back of David Luiz in that corner over there, and he's gone through the back of Eden Hazard again, and he's not been booked? I think that's what David Luiz is upset with.
He did. Luiz ran right up to Andre Mariner. Andre Mariner's head almost disappeared in Luiz's hair. That he said what he wanted to say, and referee Mariner presumably has said to Luiz, look, I'm refereeing this, but I guess he'll have taken note.
Well, it's twice he's gone through the back of both David Luiz and Eden Hazard, and you see Antonio Conte on the side. He actually gestured to Andre Mariner. Well, that's a yellow card. I think we've seen yellow cards for less than that already this season. I don't like Conte actually gesturing like that.
Did he? Right.
It's not good.
Could do without that, couldn't we?
That's an Italian thing. Maybe they do that in Italy, but we don't do that in the Premier League. Antonio Conte.
West Ham 0, Chelsea 1. No, mind you, we didn't do clever little hand celebrations in the Premier League.
It's another subject I'm not talking about. I actually didn't like it when I first saw it. Then I went home.
Do you know what?
I thought,
I've
took a lot of hard work, that, hasn't it? A lot of choreography. And I'm no Len Hutton, but I think I'd have given him a 9 there for that. Len Goodman, sorry, not Len Hutton.
No, you know Len Hutton either, Phil. Excellent cricketer. No, you were.
No, I was nearly as good as Len Hutton, you know.
You're nearly as good as Len Hutton.
Nearly, I said.
Can we get Geoffrey Boycott on the line now? Ball played forward. All for West Ham. Courtois comes right to the edge of his penalty area and grabbed the ball inside the box, he says.
He was just inside the box there, Courtois. It was a good run over the top from Feghouli. West Ham now just need to get back to the shape. They just took a little bit of a dip.
Long ball down the middle for Chelsea, but Costa was tangling with Reed and it bounced through to Darren Randolph. West Ham 0, Chelsea 1. Eden Hazard scoring the only goal of the match so far in the 26th minute. And a good goal it was. Another very good Chelsea goal. West Ham, who the wins that they've had here this season, I noticed that in the Premier League, have all been against teams that were in the bottom half of the table coming into this weekend. They've come out with some really poor results against the top teams, but they're in better form now. However, they're 1-0 down, and Font in danger of losing possession. Fabregas came in with a challenge, but Kouyaté was there to play it away downfield for Chelsea.
I think these West Ham supporters, they've obviously moved to this fantastic new stadium. They're waiting for that big game, big moment where they beat one of the top teams, and they've not had that yet. And I think a lot of them came here tonight thinking we're going to upset Chelsea tonight.
West Ham 0, Chelsea 1. That's Philip Neville, not Phil de Freitas. It's Phil Neville. Do you know, the one person I would not have expected to be mentioned tonight was Len Hutton, but you know, life's full of surprises.
Len Goodman, I meant to say.
Yes,
I ended up saying Len Hutton. No, but I did like that dance from Ali. I think what it showed is the camaraderie in that Tottenham side.
Yes.
Particularly between them two, Ali and Kane, is really, really good.
But it was brilliantly choreographed between the two of them. Here is Costa. Plays it back. Costa taking it on through the middle, but Font steps in for West Ham. And then up towards the centre circle. West Ham playing it forward through Obiang, but that's way beyond Snodgrass. Yeah, West Ham has been upset by the fact that they've conceded that goal. You know, they were right in this game, but the goal has set them back.
They just lost that spark. They were getting in and around Chelsea. They were stopping Chelsea from playing out from the back. Now all of a sudden Chelsea took control of the game. They're making West Ham run. West Ham can't get hold of the ball.
Kante now flicks a pass with his right boot out towards Moses on the right hand side, and a touch from Pedro back to Moses. Snodgrass in with a challenge, but the ball breaks for Chelsea. Pedro bringing it forward. He's gone for an early high ball across the penalty area, but too close to Randolph, who's able to stretch high and make the catch. So West Ham 0, Chelsea 1, with just under 10 minutes to go to half time here on this dry night. It's been another spring-like day in London today, bright and breezy. You just had the feeling over the course of this weekend, these early days of March, that we have turned the corner towards the latter part of this football season. And Chelsea are right exactly where Antonio Conte would want them to be. With that clear lead at the top of the table and winning this match here, this London derby, 1-0 away from home. But that doesn't mean he's showing any respite. Just watching him, he's all action. Antonio Conte on the edge of his coaching area, virtually on the pitch, as Kouyaté is virtually all over the back of Gary Cahill, and surely that was a free kick. Yes, it is. Free kick to Chelsea in their own left back position.
And there was no need for Kouyaté there. The ball was going out for a throw-in for West Ham, and he actually made a clumsy tackle there. Kouyaté, who's made 2 or 3 already in this game. He's got to be careful. We're going back to West Ham. Look, they're relatively safe in the Premier League, so this is a free hit for them tonight. They've got to stay in the game for as long as possible and get better service up to Andy Carroll.
Luiz playing it from the back to Kante. Now Hazard, the goal scorer, has just dropped into his own half, plays it forward via a deflection, so it comes back for West Ham. But then Azpilicueta was there. Azpilicueta, who's played in all of the matches this season, albeit 2 of them coming on as a substitute. Ball overarmed out by Randolph from the back. Slaven Bilic is leaning forward with his hands on his knees again. That has got a touch of exasperation, even though, as I say, it is his natural pose. Here's Reed to Obiang, and now a little touch to Lanzini, out to Cresswell on the left hand side, the England international, as he was playing in England's last game in November as a substitute against the Spanish. We'll have the England matches for you later this month from Germany and Wembley. Obiang is caught in possession by Kante. Kante now halfway inside the West Ham half, just waited, gives it to Pedro inside the box. Pedro trying to find a shooting opportunity, but Obiang actually came and made up for his earlier error and won the ball back.
Well, it's Pedro again. He's wasted a real good opportunity. Costa was alone in the box. I think he's just got to fire it across the 6-yard box.
And the West Ham supporters urging their team on over the halfway line. 1-0 down to London rivals Chelsea. But Feghouli, as the momentum of the move slows, goes back towards the halfway line. So Winston Reid.
I think West Ham have got to get Lanzini further up the pitch, closer to Andy Carroll. He's picking the ball up and he's had a lot of the ball, but too deep so far.
Here's Noble on the right-hand side. Noble leaves it to Kouyaté, but in fact he left it to Pedro, who put in a sliding challenge. However, Lanzini's back in possession. Forward of the centre circle. Obiang scoops one over the top. Carroll chests it down. Volleys that high pass out towards Cresswell, who did well to keep it in. And Moses was able to roll it infield towards Azpilicueta, who volleys it downfield towards Costa, that the ball just runs through to Randolph in the goal at the other end. So West Ham 0, Chelsea 1. The attendance here, well, it'll be 56,000 again here this evening for a Premier League game at the new stadium, the first season that West Ham have been here. All of the, well, quite a lot of unhappiness, but a good atmosphere inside the ground tonight, or at least it was before Chelsea took the lead. Here's Obiang in the centre circle, playing it to Lanzini. Lanzini now starts off on a little move, comes inside, plays it through the middle to Noble. Noble back to Lanzini, and he shoots, but lashes it wide and high. Chance not taken.
Big chance, and it's in that final third where we wanted to see Lanzini. Look, he's got to hit the target from there. It was brilliant play from Noble, good combination play between him and Lanzini. He finds himself just on the edge of the box. Brilliant opportunity to hit the target and just skies it over the bar. Big opportunity.
Snatched at it really, didn't he? And by a yard, 2 yards over the top of Courtois' bar. That's the best chance West Ham have had.
Well, it's unlike Lanzini, because normally in them situations he goes for precision, normally bends it into the bottom right or left hand corner. He went for the power, just leant back. But it's better from West Ham, got Lanzini further up the pitch, closer to Andy Carroll.
And it remains West Ham 0, Chelsea 1. BBC 5 Live as Cahill passes the ball forward. Oh, it's beaten 2 West Ham men. Hazard now in space. Costa's in the middle. Hazard to Costa. Oh, it's behind him. But Moses is in. Shoots. That's blocked. Back to Moses. Pedro. His shot is saved. And West Ham are able to play it away. Well, an escape there for West Ham. And there's a man down. West Ham man down. It's Cresswell inside the 6-yard box. And the referee's blown the whistle.
Well, it was another devastating attack there from Chelsea. It's Hazard on this left-hand side, but it's unbelievable defending from Aaron Cresswell. Hazard just spun in behind Jose Font there, and he sees Costa in the middle, fires it across the 6-yard box, and as the ball rebounds to Victor Moses, it's Aaron Cresswell that blocks the first one, and Randolph the second. Big let-off for West Ham there. Great defending.
In actual fact, it was Hazard who had the chance to play in Costa initially, after the 2 West Ham players on the right side of the defence. I don't know what happened there, but one pass beat them both, and Hazard was away down the left-hand side, cut into the box. Costa's in the middle, and Hazard played it behind him.
Well, it was Feghouli that found himself at right back. I don't know where Kouyaté was. I think he'd gone into midfield with Pedro, and Feghouli didn't stay with the runner of Hazard.
And so Cresswell is still receiving treatment. It was Cresswell who blocked the Moses shot, which was the first attempt in there. The Pedro shot after that was saved, and Cresswell is needing some lengthy treatment. So Slaven Bilic has taken the opportunity to speak to Pedro, Obiang and Lanzini, and also 1 or 2 of the West Ham players having a drink of water as well. Andy Carroll's in discussions with the assistant referee. Half-time approaching, 3 minutes plus added time. And at half-time, by the way, we are going to talk about the possible new manager of Rangers Football Club, and also we'll have more on the events of Saturday night, Sunday morning, the Bellew-Hay fight. We're going to hear from Tony Bellew again, and also from Mike Costello, our boxing correspondent, and Steve Bunce, who brought you that fight, that dramatic fight on Saturday night, and their new 5 Live boxing podcast is out today, which I'm told is well worth a listen. You listened to the fight, actually, Phil, didn't you, on Saturday night?
I thought it was absolutely fantastic commentary. It was actually better listening to it than actually watching it live. It was so exciting.
Yes, he knows what he's doing, Mike.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
And Tony Bellew is someone that I saw him nearly every day at Everton when I was captain there. So pleased that he won the fight.
Cresswell is receiving treatment, and I'm not sure. Well, half-time is not far away. He's still hobbling behind the goal line. So West Ham currently playing with 10 men. 1-0 down. Chelsea parked inside the West Ham half. Kante, Fabregas. 1-0, and Chelsea have actually let West Ham off a couple of times now. Could have doubled the lead.
They could have. They should have probably on that last thing. It was a poor pass from Hazard. I think he should have picked out Costa in the box. Well, Cresswell, I think, turned his ankle as he landed and blocked the shot. It looks a sore one for him.
Yeah, I think he's now indicating that he's going to come back on. Still Chelsea in possession. Half-time approaching. Fabregas with a raking pass that's headed away on the edge of the area by Kouyaté. But then, of course, Kante is in there. He's like a little engine, isn't he? And then Kante pulls it back to the edge of the area to Hazard. Hazard clips it across, but behind Moses. Poor distribution again from Hazard. Moses, though, has been able to recapture it, crossing it into Cresswell, back on the field, and the ball loops high and behind and almost into the supporters. And that's quite a deflection.
It's incredible that from Kante. Everyone else on the field gave up. Everyone thought it was going out for a goal kick. He absolutely put the afterburners on.
He has boundless energy.
Sensational player,
isn't he? Corner then for Chelsea from the right hand side. Half time approaching. 45 minutes are almost up. Here is the cross, too close to Randolph, who's able to catch it. When I was with Danny Mills the other week at the Chelsea-Arsenal game, 4 minutes of added time, I was actually saying to him, you know, is Kante actually the best player in the Premier League at the moment?
Well, somebody asked me the other day if you could pick any one player to buy in the Premier League at the moment, I think you would actually pick Kante, because he has such an influence. You saw what he did for Leicester last year and the effect that he's had on not being in that Leicester side this year, and the effect that he's had on this Chelsea side. It's incredible.
He has Costa now in bullet-a-gate mode. Gets his head down, takes on a couple of defenders, it's cleared away, comes back now to Pedro on the left hand side. Hazard's pointing where he wants it in the box, and then Pedro misplaces a pass straight at Mark Noble, who's going to bring it away. We're in added time at the end of the first half. Noble was looking there to see if he could find someone further downfield, but by that time the challenges came in and it was out of play for a throw-in just in front of Antonio Conte's coaching area. So it's a throw-in to West Ham. There's rather a lull around the stadium. West Ham, who were very decent for 20-25 minutes in this game, but then Chelsea scoring in the 26th, and since then Chelsea could have extended their lead. Just the one real chance for Lanzini, who snatched at his shot from the edge of the area. So 1-0 West Ham, and now Cresswell is off on a run on. He's been blatantly blocked in centre field, and really, Fabregas just came across, knew exactly what he was doing, put his body in the way of the West Ham left back, and it's the first yellow card. Fabregas.
Well, it was cynical from Fabregas because Cresswell had gone past him and he just blocked him. He ran in front of him, just blocked the run of Cresswell. It was a real positive run. He's obviously recovered from that early knock that he took on that block from Victor Moses.
So a free kick, set piece chance. Chelsea have been vulnerable in recent weeks from set pieces. Snodgrass, who is one of the better set piece deliverers. Left foot from the left hand side. Here it is beyond the back line. Carroll's after it, heads it across the penalty area. Again, it was Cahill and Carroll together, and Chelsea are off on another counter attack. Danger here. Pedro turns, slips it back to Hazard. He has Moses in the middle. Costa's there as well on the edge of the area. Costa tries to set in Alonso. West Ham have got men back, and crucially one of them got a little touch on that and cleared it away for West Ham.
It's the counter attack again, the speed through Costa and Pedro, but it's again another wasted opportunity. They should do better. They should be scoring from them breaks.
That's another one. That's now three good opportunities Chelsea have had, and either the final pass hasn't been there or the finish wasn't there.
It's been the passes from Hazard that have been disappointing. If it falls to Pedro, he normally finds that pass, but Hazard's final distribution has been poor tonight.
But here they go again, Chelsea, with a lovely little shimmy into the penalty area from Pedro. Now it's Hazard, pulls it back to Fabregas, just outside the D, on his left foot, turns back onto his right. Chelsea have got 4 black-shirted players ahead of Fabregas, but he goes back towards the halfway line to Azpilicueta in added time at the end of the first half. Now Fabregas again, a little touch off. Hazard is onto this, tries to play it through, takes a double deflection, bounces into the penalty area. Play continues. Moses reaches it. Moses crosses far too close to Randolph, who's able to pat it down, and Antonio Conte turns away there, head down, marching across his coaching area, and kicks at thin air.
He won't be happy with his team, because his team need to be at least 2-0 up at this moment, maybe even 3 with the counter-attacks that they've had. That's what he'll be telling them at half-time. Be more ruthless when you're counter-attacking.
West Ham 0, Chelsea 1. Alonso. Conte will be demanding more from his team. Hazard rolls it across again. Poor pass from Hazard in between 2 Chelsea men, and as a result Lanzini is off and running. He's over the halfway line for West Ham, plays it through. No, David Luiz sticks out a leg and blocks it from reaching Andy Carroll, and there's the half-time whistle from Andre Marina. So Chelsea, I think deservedly, Philip Neville leading by 1-0, but they, Conte, will feel that it should be more, that this game could be already put to bed.
It definitely should have been put to bed. They've been absolutely unbelievable on the counter-attack, but they should be 2 or 3-0 up already. I think that's the consolation for Slaven Bilic going in at half-time, that they're still in the game. They've got to improve the final ball into the box, because Chelsea have dealt with every cross that's come in so far, aiming for Andy Carroll.
Well, watch out, because Mark Chapman is going to be after you in a minute or two. I'm very certain of that. But half-time, West Ham 0, Chelsea 1. Thank you, Mark. West Ham 0, Chelsea 1. No substitutions at the break, as West Ham get the second period underway with Andy Carroll playing it back, and it finds its way back to Winston Reid in central defence. So West Ham with Randolph in goal, back 4 of Kouyaté, Font, Reid and Cresswell, Noble and Obiang central midfield, Feghouli, Snodgrass, Lanzini and Andy Carroll, who has put himself about, but also ended up with a big cut on his left eyebrow, because he's put himself about, but Gary Cahill has dealt with him very well. And Chelsea with Courtois, Azpilicueta, Luiz and Cahill, Moses, Kante, Fabregas, Alonso, Pedro, Hazard and Costa. The goal was scored in the 26th minute, Eden Hazard's 11th this season for Chelsea, and it was scored on the counter-attack by a combination of Pedro and Hazard. But as Mark Chapman was suggesting there, Chelsea have had other chances. They had chances to increase their lead, didn't take them. Hazard, strangely, after scoring the goal, his passing was a little off. He has Azpilicueta. Chelsea in the black shirts, black shorts and black socks with the luminous yellow trim. West Ham in their claret and blue, of course, here at their home stadium, the London Stadium, with the Orbit sculpture gently glowing red high above the roof of the stand. Here's Fabregas, right-footed towards Pedro, bounces off Pedro, so Obiang's able to get the header in, and it's flicked away downfield by Lanzini. And Mark was absolutely right, Philip Neville. You know, they are the caught betwixt and between West Ham here in terms of the approach.
They are. I mean, I think what the best thing to do is to make sure that they stay in the game for as long as possible, because 1-0 is a dangerous scoreline for Chelsea. We said at half-time that you've seen these games where a team just doesn't take all their chances, aren't ruthless enough, then they can be punished, and that's what these West Ham players will be holding on to in the second half. All they need is one cross into the box, one opportunity, and they're back in the game.
That's Philip Neville, 59 caps for England, watching West Ham 0, Chelsea 1 on BBC 5 Live. Here the ball is played forward towards Snodgrass, and now Lanzini on the halfway line. Infield it goes towards Obiang. Noble is there, available in the centre circle. Fabregas arrives on the scene, so the pass out towards the right hand side to Kouyaté. Obiang then lifts one over the top with a little bit of width, but it bounces straight out of play on the far side for a throw-in to the visitors, the league leaders, who are in a position here to go back 10 points clear at the top of the table. And West Ham, who were beaten at Stamford Bridge in the first league match of this season, it would be a league double for Chelsea over their London rivals. Ball finds its way to Moses on the right hand side, and now Hazard, Pedro, little touch through to Costa, given away by Kante. Noble then plays it to the left-hand side. Snodgrass has to make good ground to his left, but does, and then whips the cross in, but Azpilicueta was positioned there on the dead ball line and deflected it behind for a corner.
Uncharacteristic mistake from Kante. You don't normally see him give the ball away in dangerous areas like that. It was a good pass out wide into a wide area. Snodgrass couldn't quite get the cross into the box for Andy Carroll.
So set piece chance then. Snodgrass to take this corner, an outswinger. Carroll leans forward. Font is in there as well. Here's the delivery, the near post. Font gets a flick on it, only half cleared away, sliced away by Kante on the edge of the 6-yard box, and then Snodgrass is challenged by a combination of Fabregas and Pedro, and now they're breaking away. Chelsea dangerously again up towards Hazard. Hazard turns, sends it across field. Costa back to Kante. Kante knew that Obiang was arriving. Now Alonso on the left hand side. His cross takes a deflection which carries it wide of the near post off the back of Kouyaté behind for a Chelsea corner, and we've gone from a West Ham corner at one end to a Chelsea corner at the other end in a matter of seconds.
Well, it's that counter-attack again with devastating speed. Hazard did something really special. The ball came into him from Fabregas and he just controlled it with his back and laid it off to Kante, then spun in behind.
It's been a feature, Phil, as well, of, you know, when Chelsea have broken, how often Kante has been involved in the counter-attack. Here's the corner, played in, and it's kneed into the net by Costa. It's 2-0 to Chelsea. Couldn't miss from there, just flexed his knee, into the net it went, and Diego Costa, with his 18th goal of the season, puts Chelsea in complete command here at the London Stadium. West Ham 0, Chelsea 2.
Well, it was a training ground goal, whipped in from Hazard. Gary Cahill gets across the near post, just a slight deflection, glance off his head, and Diego Costa comes around the far post. Winston Reid doesn't stay with the run of Diego Costa. A simple tap in with his knee. It was just a flick on at the near post. It came off the head of Obiang, and Costa just hits it into the game over.
Yeah, can't come back from this, West Ham.
Oh, I think it's very difficult now. It was a brilliantly worked goal. Gary Cahill makes a fantastic run across the near post, forces the little bit of a glance, and Costa, Winston Reid will be disappointed he didn't stay with him. Real poacher's effort, and Antonio Conte goes mad on the touchline. He knows how important that goal is.
So West Ham 0, Chelsea 2. And finally the second goal has come for Antonio Conte's Premier League leaders. But West Ham now need an immediate response if they can. Kouyaté crosses, shouts that it might have struck an arm, which it might have done. Fabregas on the edge of the penalty area. Nothing doing from referee Mariner though. And West Ham now, Conte organising things outside his coaching area. Snodgrass swings the ball in, it's headed away by David Luiz. Comes out for Lanzini, he curls one, but there's nowhere near enough draw on that, and it curls well beyond the far post by 3 or 4 yards.
Well, they're going to have a reaction straight away, West Ham. But what's been so impressive about this Chelsea performance so far, that every time a cross has come to the box, the Chelsea back three have been waiting there just to clear the ball.
And now groans of disappointment as West Ham lose possession, and Chelsea taking it up with Costa, who's just scored. Hazard on the halfway line. Now here's Alonso involved on the left-hand side, approaching the penalty area. Oh, he brilliantly goes past Font, chips it goalwards, just wide of the post. Oh, what a goal that would have been.
It was brilliant from Marcos Alonso. Skips inside Kouyaté and Font. Then just as Winston Reid's coming across, you just think he's going to dink it over the top of Randolph. If West Ham aren't careful, we've seen the big teams come here and score 3, 4s and 5s. This could be another one of those real difficult evening for West Ham.
It is 2-0, but Chelsea lost here 5-1 against Arsenal. They lost 2-0 to Manchester United, lost 4-0 to Manchester City just recently in the league, and of course in the FA Cup lost 5-0 at home against Manchester City, and everyone knows that. You can feel that around the place, that they're fearing it could be another big defeat against one of the top 6 clubs. But that goal, if Alonso had scored there, and he took it past Jose Font brilliantly as he cut in from the left hand side, and as Reid arrived, as you say, Phil, he just tried to dink it past Randolph, and if he'd been able to score, it would have been some goal. Chelsea defending with Moses, who clears it straight to Cresswell. Cresswell swings across, took a flick off the back of the defender, lands on the edge of the penalty area. Carroll takes it up, stumbles away from the challenge. He's 25 yards out on his left foot, curls it goalwards, but Courtois, even though it flicks the netting on the top of the goal, it was comfortably over the top of Courtois' goal.
Well, Andy Carroll's appealing to Andre Mariner. There was a slight nick on the shot for him. Kante, slightly ambitious, 30 yards out. There was a slight deflection off Kante. It should have been a corner for West Ham.
West Ham 0, Chelsea 2. BBC 5 Live. And now Conte, now Costa brings the ball down, plays it to Fabregas, but West Ham win it back. But it's collected again by Azpilicueta for Chelsea. Luiz with his left foot to Azpilicueta. Chelsea popping it around, although Moses has popped it straight to Lanzini, so West Ham have got it back. Shouts for a foul by Luiz on Andy Carroll. Referee Mariner agrees. Just a challenge from behind. Free kick West Ham.
It was a bit reckless from David Luiz. Just came straight through the back of Andy Carroll. I mean, look at the qualities of this Chelsea side. They've had to withstand a lot of crosses. They've dealt with that quite simply, and the way that they've counter-attacked through that front three has been sensational at times.
Well, you said it, Phil, before the game that you felt this was one of the more difficult matches that Chelsea had left this season, and you said, didn't you, that if they come through and win this, you couldn't see anyone stopping them.
I don't see any team in the Premier League with this kind of quality. They can play any way you want them to play. They can pass it, they can fight it.
And now it's West Ham with Feghouli. Left-footed ball to the edge of the area, which is actually headed back by Snodgrass to Cresswell on the edge of the penalty area. It was like a defensive clearance, but it was slightly behind it. Obiang, angle ball forward towards Feghouli on his right foot. Thought about a shot, plays it to Kouyaté, low ball in. That's hopeless. I mean, it was like a back pass to Courtois, who very happily moved across and scooped it up.
Well, I think he's been poor tonight. Kouyaté struggled defensively against Eden Hazard, and you would do, but he's playing out of position on that right-hand side. His positions have been wrong all night. His distributions have been really poor. I think the surprising thing for West Ham, the minute they conceded that first goal, it looked like there was a real fragile nature about not just the team but the stadium as well. The whole stadium went quiet, the team went flat, and they've never really looked like getting back into this game.
That's Philip Neville with us here on BBC 5 Live, multiple Premier League winner with Manchester United, watching West Ham 0, Chelsea 2. Next time I see you, Phil, we'll be in Monte Carlo. Very much looking forward to that next week.
Oh, and that game's not over yet by any stretch.
No. And Mbappe was in form again yesterday, did you see, for Monaco. Here come Chelsea with Moses on the right-hand side. Moses now, there's space here for Chelsea on the right-hand side. Players in the box. Moses tries to pick out the pass to the far post towards Hazard, but it was headed away by Kouyaté. And then Gary Cahill intercepts a pass on the halfway line, so Fabregas back to David Luiz. West Ham 0, Chelsea 2. Yep, we'll have commentary next week, live from Monaco for the second leg of Manchester City, their tie against the French league leaders. Tomorrow night, of course, Arsenal at home to Bayern Munich. Now, Jermaine Genius is going to be with me at the Emirates, but there's a really busy night of football in the Championship and elsewhere, full programme in the Championship, and we're actually going to do a round the grounds night tomorrow, bringing you the goals and all of the action during the course of the evening. But we'll be at the Emirates just in case. What percentage do we give Arsenal? 5%?
Just in case of what?
Just in case.
I'm not speaking about
I was just going to say it. I lured you in. I knew I could do it. Here's Pedro on the left for Chelsea. Pedro puts his shoulder down, gives it to Hazard. 2-0 Chelsea lead. Costa with a flick through the middle. Obiang, though, is able to run back and play it back to Randolph, who clears from the ground. West Ham 0, Chelsea 2. So two of the real danger men have scored the goals tonight, Phil. Hazard in the first half, Costa in the second. But West Ham now, the space here for Feghouli, forward of the centre circle. Oh, lovely step over, beats Luiz. Now to Snodgrass on the left-hand side, lifts it across over the top of Courtois. Carroll has to peel away to the right-hand side to keep the ball in play. Gives it back to Kouyaté, who allowed the ball to run through his legs. Kouyaté then turns again, gives it back to Noble, out to the right-hand side. Andy Carroll still on the right wing, crosses, left-footed, in fact a cross-field pass all the way to Cresswell, whose layoff was straight to Hazard, and Hazard is away from Snodgrass but then runs into Obiang. And now there might be something for West Ham here. Snodgrass back behind him to Obiang. Infield to Lanzini. Lanzini turned into Costa, and he didn't like the look of that. But West Ham have still got it on the halfway line. Obiang with the odd boots, one yellow, one green, which is one of the trends of the time. Cresswell now to Lanzini. Now Noble. This is all at tight, close quarters, and in fact Azpilicueta steps in, and Chelsea now bring it away. Costa rides the challenge. Kante then sweeps up the loose ball. Fabregas is there. Noble's at him, so Fabregas goes all the way back to goalkeeper Courtois, and Chelsea just toying with West Ham, really.
Well, I think we've spoke really highly of Costa, Pedro and Hazard tonight, but I think the key players tonight for Chelsea have been that back three: Azpilicueta, David Luiz, and Gary Cahill in particular. I think he's been the best Chelsea player for me. His defending has been absolutely outstanding. His distances, whenever the cross comes in, he's always got Carroll nearby him, and he's headed everything away and dealt with everything that West Ham have thrown at him.
West Ham 0, Chelsea 2. And still Antonio Conte demands more, the Chelsea coach, on the touchline. Ball passed forward for a run through the middle from Pedro, but West Ham win it back. Lanzini hits a pass that's asking a lot of Snodgrass, but he catches up with it. Snodgrass, but Azpilicueta was right there with him, and the little Spaniard blocked it behind for a corner to West Ham from the left, and a little bit of a cheer from the West Ham supporters.
There's still time in this game for West Ham to get back into something. They're going to have to react soon, make one of these crosses tell. Looks like they're going to make a substitution. West Ham. Ayew might be coming on.
Yep. So Slaven Bilic about to make a positive move. Lanzini with the corner for West Ham, punched away by Courtois, headed back in by Kouyaté. Carroll heads it across and might have just been clattered there as he did so. Ball bounces out to Lanzini. Now Snodgrass, left side of the area, chips it across to the back post. A missed kick. Fegouli's in, shoots and saved by Courtois. Then a shot from Noble. That seemed to strike Alonso's arm inside the penalty area. They're appealing for a penalty. Referee Mariner totally unmoved. That did look as though they had a case. It's swung in by Cresswell. What a cross that was. Only half-headed away. Comes out to Fegouli. Pressure now from West Ham. It's chipped across from Fegouli. Reed chests it down. He hoists it back across the penalty area, and the header is over the bar from Snodgrass in the end. What about a penalty in the middle of all that?
Well, it was a good header from Snodgrass at the end there. There was definitely a penalty shout, and it was against Marcus Alonso.
I think it might have been Font actually with the header. Snodgrass and Font went for it together. But I mean, from our angle, the Alonso arm was outstretched, and the ball struck it surely in the penalty area.
Well, there must have been 4 or 5 crosses coming to the box, one after another, and Chelsea were really on the ropes there. It was a brilliant save from Courtois amidst all that as well. As the ball comes back, it was Font that had the original shot, then Fegouli, then Noble strikes it. I think it goes actually into the mid-drift of Marcus Alonso.
But crucially for Chelsea, it didn't go in the net, and it's still 2-0. BBC 5 Live bringing you the commentary from the London Stadium. Double change for West Ham coming up. Costa with a move through the middle. Thought that might have been a free kick for the challenge on Costa, but no free kick. And West Ham are going to bring on not only Andre Ayew, but also Sam Byram. Fegouli goes for an ambitious ball forward diagonally, 40-50 yards. Moses is able to take possession for Chelsea. Moses receives it back in the full-back position, and then it's a long pass which just gives possession back to West Ham and Reed. 2-0 to Chelsea. Hazard and Costa scoring the goals, and Chelsea also going to make a change. Matic is now stepping forward, the tall, broad-shouldered figure of the Serb. Fegouli on the right-hand side. Fegouli taking on Alonso, who slips. Fegouli, though, checks back, and that means Chelsea are all over him and win possession back. And now Kante has space here, and he's often moving. He lifts a pass forward, aiming for Hazard, but it's headed away for West Ham. But then Chelsea, Costa and Moses together. Good challenge on Costa, and West Ham and Fontes going all the way back to his goalkeeper. Next time the ball goes out of play, we'll have 2 West Ham substitutions and 1 for Chelsea. And clearly Antonio Conte bringing on Matic as the ball bounces out on the far side, just feeling that he needs Matic in there. But it's the West Ham changes first, and it's Feghouli. Well, that seems to have gone down well. But Feghouli, from the West Ham supporters to our left, is being withdrawn, and the other, and Feghouli was right away on the far side, and it is also going to be Winston Reid, who must have a problem. In fact, Winston Reid is limping off the field.
He's struggling there, Winston Reid. Looks like Kouyaté might have to go and play centre-back. Sam Byram will go over onto that right-hand side. Ayew will play one further up where Feghouli played as well. So it's a little bit injection of pace with Ayew on that right-hand side, and Sam Byram, who does like to get forward.
Meanwhile, it's Pedro, one of the dangerous front 3, who is being withdrawn. So Matic will obviously, Phil, move into central midfield, and Fabregas just a little further forward.
Sensible from Antonio Conte. Just saw in that last attack from West Ham, they put 4 crosses in the space of 30 seconds, and you need somebody with his height and experience who'll just sit in front of that back 4, drop into the back 4, back 3 at times as well.
So play resumes. West Ham 0, Chelsea 2. BBC 5 Live with 25 minutes still to play in this game. And the changes coming after a better spell for West Ham when they forced those chances. There's actually a block from Moses from the Feghouli shot in the middle of all that. Moses was just to the right of Courtois, who made ground across, and then Font with a header that wasn't too far over the bar. However, the Chelsea goal survived, and Courtois, who's already kept 13 clean sheets in the Premier League this season in the 26 matches that Chelsea have played, is still on for another one. Chelsea with the ball at the back, with the best defensive record in the Premier League this season after Tottenham conceded the 2 goals yesterday. Here's Cresswell on the left hand side for West Ham. West Ham 0, Chelsea 2. Mark Noble, ball at his feet, stabs it forward to the edge of the area. Snodgrass has found some space here inside the penalty area, but Louise comes across almost from nowhere, making up 2 or 3 yards, and then eventually dispossessing Snodgrass and clearing towards the halfway line. And West Ham going back into their own half and starting with Kouyaté, as you said, he's now moved across into central defence. And here is the newly arrived right back, Sam Byram, originally from these parts but brought up in Yorkshire, former Leeds man. Now back to the right hand side to Ayew. Lanzini towards Byram, and West Ham still with the ball in the central third of the field. It's angled forward, bounces off Lanzini, and that means Chelsea have got it back, and Kanté is bringing it forward. He has both Hazard and Costa, gives it to Hazard, right corner of the penalty area. Hazard now looking for options, into the box, puts his foot on the ball, flicks it, past to Costa, shoots. Oh, and what a save from Randolph. I thought that was destined for the bottom corner, but Randolph, the Republic of Ireland international goalkeeper, stuck out a right arm and deflected it round the post.
Oh, it was a brilliant save from Randolph, but it was great interchange between Hazard and Costa, and he just dinked it round the corner, Hazard. And when it comes into Costa, he just turns with the outside of his right foot. Kouyaté gets turned far too easy, and he swings it with his left foot. It's a brilliant save from Randolph.
Well, last time Chelsea had a corner from this left-hand side, they scored. This one is taken short, though, on that left flank, and Hazard is there on his right foot, curls back onto his left, plays it into the edge of the 6-yard box where Carroll clears. It comes out Azpilicueta, missed his kick completely, and then found the ball in front of him and dragged it well wide from 24 yards out.
And that's why fullbacks don't shoot, John. Two really poor attempts there from Azpilicueta. We're just looking back at the chance for Costa. He turned with the outside of his right foot, then in one movement he swivels and hits it with his left foot. Real good reaction save from Randolph.
Yeah, cracking save. West Ham 0, Chelsea 2. Diego Costa denied a second goal in the match. So 5 Live, BBC 5 Live, 5 Live Sport on the air till 10 o'clock tonight, not 10:30 before Phil Williams takes over, because it's a Monday night, and that means we'll have the latest edition of the Flintoff Savage and the Ping Pong Man podcast. Robbie Savage says tonight's Phil is the best yet. So we'll hear that.
Who said that?
Robbie did.
Robbie, about his own programme?
Yes, he did. Yes.
It's very entertaining.
Yeah, so listen to that. They're talking about all sorts of things between 10 and 10:30. I do feel for Matthew. I know exactly how Matthew Syed feels, actually. I had to deal with Robbie over the years. Ball played forward for West Ham. Carroll heads it on, but across comes Courtois to take it up on the bounce. And you can hear the full version. Download the podcast from the BBC 5 Live website, as also the 5 Live Football Daily podcast, bbc.co.uk/5 Live. And you can get in touch anytime at 5 Live Sport on social media. West Ham 0, Chelsea 2. And Courtois with the ball inside his own penalty area, clearing left-footed towards the halfway line. And 2 West Ham players challenging Costa. And then Obiang runs into trouble on the halfway line, but was actually caught there on the halfway line by the challenge that came in from Matic. So it's a free kick to West Ham. Chelsea supporters in great voice to our right, enjoying the fact that their team, Chelsea, are winning relatively comfortably here inside West Ham's London Stadium. Lanzini runs into trouble in centre field. Little touch from Obiang out towards the right hand side. Noble, now Byram, infield from Byram. Lanzini on his left foot, but Matic blocked his intended movement. Snodgrass though to Cresswell, back to Snodgrass, and the bearded Scotsman rolls it infield towards Obiang, who's going to have a shot here, right-footed. Wrong decision. He sliced it well wide from 25 yards.
It was the wrong decision because he had Sam Byram on that right-hand side, and Marcus Alonso really coming really narrow to his centre-backs. I just keep looking at Kante. Every time that Chelsea counter-attack, it's always through Kante. He sprints up, he wins the ball and then sprints up.
His energy levels are really extraordinary. Mind you, his touch was awful there, and he deflected straight out of play for a throw-in just next to Slaven Bilic. 2-0 Chelsea lead. But Chelsea paid, what was it, £30 million for it. Leicester paid something like 5.6 for him, and now his value, well, name a figure.
Well, he's probably the best midfield player in Europe at this moment in time, and people say, he's only a holding midfield player. I think he's more than that. We've seen that tonight. The way he wins possession, takes the ball off players, and then springs into the counter-attack straight away. He's got 4 lungs. He never stops moving.
What, I was going to say like a cow, but they've got 4 stomachs, haven't they? West Ham 0, Chelsea 2. Ball played over the top. This is for Hazard to chase out towards the left-hand side. Hazard now beginning to move back in towards the penalty area. There's only Costa in the middle. Hazard waiting for support. Hazard then turns it towards the left-hand side, where Alonso, the tall Alonso, back into the central area to his fellow Spaniard Fabregas. Now it finds its way out to the right-hand side to Moses. And here is the 4-lunged Kante, who's challenged by Noble. And then Snodgrass has given it straight back to little Kante. Fabregas, olays from the Chelsea supporters. All, it would seem, darkly dressed in the 2 sections to our right, the Chelsea supporters. Alonso. And then, Costa gives it away. Wasn't expecting that. And Noble rolls it back into central defence. Font. And West Ham now starting again from inside their own half. Noble towards Cresswell, but this is all very one-paced from West Ham. Lanzini now and Snodgrass, but the one-paced nature of the attack means that Chelsea are right back in position, and you can almost see here with the wonderful view that we've got here from high up on the second tier of the London Stadium, just of the positions of the Chelsea players. And this will all be down to the work that has been put in as Chelsea are preparing another change, and it's going to be little Willian who's going to be coming on shortly, as West Ham played up the left hand side, but Luiz is across. He's given it away though, Luiz. That means there'll be a gap in the middle. Snodgrass pulls it across. Carroll just outside the penalty area, could have allowed it to run to Obiang, but saw his last shot, so Carroll keeps possession. It's played across by Byram, blocked inside the penalty area. A little stretch from Obiang. Byram on his left foot, he crosses, Carroll waiting, but it's headed away from Andy Carroll out into the full-back position. Noble, beats Azpilicueta brilliantly, and then the cross, the low centre, is blocked by Moses behind for a corner.
Antonio Conte's there, he's screaming at one of his substitutes to warm up properly. It was a good move from Mark Noble, he just feint to cross the ball. Azpilicueta sprinted out to him, he just danced around him. Good defending from Victor Moses in the end.
Corner, West Ham, Lanzini to take this. In fact, we're going to see the change before Chelsea defend the corner, and it is Hazard, who, remember, was a doubt for the game with an injury in training, and where is Eden Hazard? It looks as though that surprised him, Hazard, who looks crestfallen to have been substituted. So off he comes and applauds the Chelsea supporters, and we're also going to see Zuma coming on very shortly. He's jumped to his feet, but off goes Hazard, gets a handshake and a little chest bump, I think it was, from Antonio Conte, who then immediately turns back to the action. Antonio Conte, corner for West Ham, played into the 6-yard box, and Courtois catches it as easy as can be. And then underarms a little ball out towards Matic, and suddenly, from having the corner at one end, West Ham have got to get back into position because Chelsea are downfield. Ball on the left-hand side with Kante, played back to Alonso, and Chelsea really here. They could have gone for the jugular there, but they're just taking the sting out of the game.
Well, it was a fast counter-attack, but they knew what they were doing. They were stretching the play, getting up to the final third of West Ham, then slowing the play down, making West Ham work.
It's Philip Neville with us on 5 Live. 15 minutes to go, Chelsea winning 2-0, and here is Willian, rolls his foot over the ball, right side of the penalty area. Willian back to Moses on the right hand side. Moses, little toe poke back to Willian. It's almost like slow motion here. Willian, then back to Fabregas, and now Matic rolls the pass, which is just a little short to Alonso on the left hand side, so Byram was able to put in the challenge out of play for a throw into Chelsea. We'll have the next change. So Moses is going to be replaced by Zuma, and West Ham's final change, Mark Noble, is being withdrawn, the captain, so he's going to give the armband to Andy Carroll and Edmilson Fernandez, who scored against Chelsea in the cup tie here before Christmas. The Swiss international is going to get a run out for the remainder of the game, the remaining, less than 15 minutes of the match. So 2-0 to Chelsea, who are on their way to opening up the 10-point lead at the top of the table that they had before this round of matches. So the top four as it stands will all have won over the course of this weekend. Alonso gives the ball away inside his own half, so West Ham do have a chance to break. Carroll, though, plays it behind the breaking Snodgrass to Azpilicueta, has possession back for Chelsea. Kante and then Fabregas back into his own half, and Chelsea just knocking it around inside their own territory again, Phil.
Well, with Victor Moses gone off, Azpilicueta's come out to this right wing back position. Kurt Zuma's gone into the right of a back three. I think it shows that Antonio Conte is still not comfortable with the amount of crosses that are coming to the box. He's got Matic and Kurt Zuma on. Defensive substitution, you've got to say.
Yep, but he's set on keeping what they hold here. You can tell that Conte is wary of what a West Ham goal could do. He'll know his football now. He'll know all about how West Ham, their supporters, can raise their team given any encouragement. Alonso plays a ball, takes a deflection, 30 yards out. Chelsea have it back. Matic drives forward now, rolls it to Azpilicueta on the right hand side. He looks up, tries to deliver the pass towards the penalty spot. It was headed away by Fernandez and then stretched away, and the referee spotted an infringement in there, and it's a free kick to West Ham inside their own penalty area. So 2-0 Chelsea lead.
Well, it was an important header from Fernandez, because you just saw Costa just behind him as the ball was coming to the box from Azpilicueta. He was just winding himself up for a volley just behind him. Fernandez got an important little header on it,
Randolph takes this goal kick that Carroll heads on just next to where Antonio Conte is standing. The former Juventus manager. He won the league all 3 seasons that he was coach at the club that he used to play for, and served with great distinction. And you know what, Phil? In those 3 years, 3 seasons, you know how many league matches he lost as the coach of Juventus in 3 seasons?
How many?
Luis steps in and just cuts out this pass. 7 in 3 seasons. This season, his Chelsea team have so far lost 3 league matches, but they're not going to lose this one unless something remarkable happens. Here's Ayew, the former Swansea man. Just a little ball towards the right hand side to Fernandes, and now Fernandes again in field towards Obiang now to the left hand side to Lanzini. Willian comes across in front of him, and Lanzini lifts the ball in towards the back post, stretching header away by Gary Cahill. Byram is there, but so's Alonso, and Cahill, safety first, just clears it towards the halfway line. Costa didn't get there, so West Ham have got possession back. It's just been a thoroughly professional job really from Chelsea here tonight, who, as we've suggested if you weren't listening earlier, you know, Chelsea could have had a greater lead than the 1-0 lead that they did have at half-time if they'd been able to take their chances. Just very impressive.
They've been very impressive. I think we had false hope before the game that maybe this was the game where they was going to slip up to make the Premier League more of a competition, a contest. They're just such a well-oiled machine. There's strength all over the pitch. That spine is so strong. The 3 defenders tonight, I think, have been fantastic. The goalkeeper is world class, and you've got 3 players up front that, when they do counter-attack, can be absolutely devastating.
Foul by Fernandes on Fabregas on the halfway line. Free kick to Chelsea. West Ham 0, Chelsea 2. And Zuma, who's still sort of been feeling his way back from injury this season after that long layoff. Kurt Zuma, who ended up missing Euro 2016, remember. Here's Kante on the right hand side. Kante to Matic, who lifts a ball forward via a deflection. Costa is onto that, beaten in the air by Font, and it comes down for Lanzini, who might have been caught there by Fabregas. No, he wasn't. Fabregas took the ball, and so Chelsea have it back again inside their own half. So Chelsea about to move on to 66 points. Tottenham on 56, Manchester City on 55, but they do have a game in hand, Manchester City, which they're going to play on Wednesday night. You'll be able to hear that on 5 Live. Ian Dennis and Andy Townsend with the commentary this Wednesday night. Manchester City's game against Stoke. Manchester City still have to go to Stamford Bridge to play Chelsea in the first midweek in April. That's a 5 Live commentary match as well that you'll be able to hear. But Chelsea tonight coming through this latest challenge as Luis sends a long pass downfield that Costa gets his head to, ahead of Kouyaté, who eventually recovers, but it's nodded back to Costa. There's space here for Costa in the box on the left hand side. He flicks it across, it's beyond Alonso, it reaches Azpilicueta, he returns it to Willian, back to goal inside the penalty area, and then back to Fabregas, who curls a shot over from the edge of the area.
Not like Fabregas. That it was a brilliant play from Alonso, who ended up on this right hand side. Azpilicueta just plays a really intelligent pass, cuts it back to the edge of the box, and normally from that angle he just tends to stroke it into the bottom corners. He went for the exaggerated one into the top corner.
And so a goal kick to West Ham. West Ham 0, Chelsea 2. Into the last 10 minutes of the game, and West Ham making little or no impression in terms of chances that they've created. There was little or nothing in the first half, and in the second we had that little period where in one move they had 2-3 chances to score, weren't able to. And now I think the feeling is amongst the supporters, many of the West Ham fans, we can see lots of white seats now appearing around this stadium. The West Ham fans heading off into the night. 2-0 down as Alonso plays it back towards goalkeeper Courtois to our left, who lifts a pass out towards Azpilicueta, over his head, out of play for a throw-in that Cresswell will take back into his own half to the tall Portuguese Font, who had one of those chances, just plays it back to Darren Randolph. And Randolph, who made that excellent save from Costa to keep it at 2-0, passes it out along the ground, but there's no feeling that that West Ham are going to launch a major offensive in this game. They're almost seeing time out. Here's Fernandes to Byram on the right, then back to Fernandes, and it's going to go all the way back to the goalkeeper.
Well, you just get the feeling that with all the results that they've had against the top teams, and they have been really decimated by the performances against the top teams, that they're just happy with 2-0 at the moment. It's respectable. They haven't played poorly tonight, West Ham. They've just not been much of a goal threat when the ball has got to that final third. They've not really had the quality in the final third to upset this Chelsea back three.
Snodgrass failed to keep the ball in on the left-hand side as he moved away from Zuma, so it's a throw-in to Chelsea halfway inside their own half. West Ham 0, Chelsea 2, 5 Live, and we've got some weekend of live sport for you this weekend coming up. We've got Six Nations commentaries, the FA Cup quarter-finals, Premier League commentaries on both 5 Live and Sports Extra this coming weekend, and also Celtic Rangers commentary for you on Sunday at 12 o'clock, and it begins Friday night with Wales against Ireland live from Cardiff in the Six Nations. That's Friday night, and then you need go nowhere else for your live sport. Were you just doing the Chelsea-Manchester United in the FA Cup, or are you going to another one as well?
No, I've got the weekend off.
Have you?
I've been rested.
Have you? You've been benched. Excellent. Well, you'll be fully refreshed by the time you get to Stamford Bridge on Monday. Chelsea, that's a careless ball. Snodgrass. Oh, Snodgrass pulled a pass which was behind Carroll and ahead of AU. He split them perfectly, and it's out of play for a throw-in to Chelsea.
Well, I think he saw the run of Andy Carroll and tried to play it into his feet. He just dragged it a little bit behind. AU didn't anticipate that the ball was going into that area.
So it's a throw-in to Chelsea with just over 5 minutes to play, and West Ham losing possession again in the central third. Here is Kanté again, who pulls the ball down, plays it through the middle for Costa up against Font, who did well, got the ball. Costas ended up sitting on the floor waving his hands at referee Mariner, but although it was a fair challenge by Font.
He was. He's not happy though, Diego Costa. He's not off the floor. Is he ever happy? But he's not off the floor yet. He's just getting up now. He thinks it was a foul from Font.
What do you think?
No, it was a good challenge. He read the situation really well, because it was nearly a pass through on goal from Conte.
Here's Obiang, who swings a pass. Byram inside the penalty area, but it comes off the West Ham right back under pressure from Alonso and just loops into the arms of Thibaut Courtois. Willian now. Oh, lovely shimmy from Willian. Rolls a pass out here to the right hand side to Azpilicueta. There's no one busting a gut for Chelsea in the middle, so Azpilicueta gives it back to Willian inside the box, shoots from the angle into Cresswell, and the ball ricochets behind onto the green carpet behind the West Ham goal in front of the hoardings, and it's a corner to Chelsea.
Well, there's no rush to take the corner. Willian, Azpilicueta over on this right hand side. They're just walking, ambling. They're just going to try and play out time now. There's only 4 minutes left plus stoppage time.
The Chelsea supporters absolutely delighted in that lower tier. They're in a long thin section in 2 tiers, just down to our right behind that goal. It's a Chelsea corner that they're waiting to watch here. Fabregas is looking rather casual, standing there with his hands on his hips. The referee blows his whistle. Corner is taken short to Willian, gives it back to Fabregas, who has a little glance into the middle, then deftly plays a ball right across the penalty area, over everyone actually. Matic just stops it from going out on the left hand side, and the tall Matic drops his shoulder. He slips the ball infield towards Alonso, but then it's won back by Font and cleared downfield by Kouyaté. Chelsea back in possession again though, when actually it's going all the way back to Courtois.
I think when Chelsea at the start of the season had Matic and Kanté in that midfield, they were a better defensive unit, but when Fabregas plays, they definitely pass the ball better, they definitely keep possession better. He plays more passes that hurt the opposition, says Fabregas. And for someone that was really looked like he was on his way out at Chelsea, the fans were booing him last season for his part in the Jose Mourinho sacking. He's played a key part in Chelsea run of form.
There's a run forward from Lanzini, ends with Kurt Zouma putting in the challenge near the edge of the penalty area, and then an offside flag against Costa, so it's a free kick to West Ham. Chelsea, after the Manchester United Cup tie on Monday night, that's this time next week. 5 Live, the place to hear it. They've got Stoke away, and then home matches against Crystal Palace, and then Manchester City. But If they win this game tonight, say when, they'll have a 10-point lead with 11 matches to play. Throw in for West Ham. Here is Fernandes, who moves away to the right of the centre circle, plays it through towards Feghouli. I beg your pardon. Now it's with Kouyaté. Fernandes on the halfway line again. Back to Font. And then out again to Ayew, who has dropped very deep there. Ayew now starts off on a run towards the corner of the penalty area. Byram's available. Ayew crossing left-footed. Carroll was in there, but Azpilicueta went with him and did enough to make sure he didn't get a touch, Andy Carroll, as he fell into the penalty area and the ball bounced straight through for a goal kick.
Well, Azpilicueta just did enough. He stayed with the run of Andy Carroll. You see Andy Carroll there, he's saying well done to the cross, because it was a really good cross into a really good area. Azpilicueta, who's a fantastic defender, just went man-to-man, blocked the run of Andy Carroll.
And we have seen a little close-up on one of our little televisions here, and he has been patched up, didn't he? They must have patched him up at half-time, Andy Carroll. He's got a couple of temporary stitches in there, and the taping across where he was cut on his eyebrow early on in the match. West Ham 0, Chelsea 2, but they've looked after him superbly, really. Andy Carroll, Chelsea's defence for the most part.
Yeah, I think they've dealt really well with everything that's been thrown at them. Cahill in particular has handled every cross. David Luiz has marshalled that back three well, and Azpilicueta, well, he's just done what Azpilicueta does, and that's just defends really well week in, week out.
The official attendance tonight, 56,984, which isn't quite the highest yet at the London Stadium for a West Ham match this season. But there aren't that many inside the ground now. The Chelsea supporters still singing their songs after the fourth official comes forward and shows 3 minutes of added time. Chelsea, it would seem, on the way to recapturing the league title that they took in 2015 under Jose Mourinho in that League Cup and League double winning season. And actually the way that they've been this season just makes last season all the more remarkable, doesn't it?
No, it does. And I was just thinking then, is there ever a team that's won the Premier League that's played three at the back? I can't think of a team that's played this system and won the Premier League. I've never been a fan of this system until this kind of play that we've seen from Antonio Conte. It's an attacking system.
Well, you wouldn't have thought so, would you? As Snodgrass manages to weave his way through on the left-hand side, but the cross is blocked out of play by Zuma. I mean, all of those Manchester United titles that you were involved in, Arsenal, Blackburn was certainly a back four.
Chelsea was a back four.
Back four with Chelsea. Yeah, so I think
I think it's a system that I've never been a fan of, because I've always thought it was more defensive. It promoted slow play, but this is anything but slow play.
Yeah, Manchester City obviously a back four. West Ham 0, Chelsea 2 is the score here, with the final whistle just a couple of minutes away. And then we'll wrap things up here with Mark Chapman, who's here in the stadium with us, as Chelsea win a free kick on the halfway line as Alonso is shoved over by Byram. And then it'll be, after the news and sport, it'll be the latest Flintoff, Savage and the Ping Pong Man podcast, which you will hear before Phil Williams takes over at 10:30. As Chelsea rather carelessly lose possession. Fabregas caught out there. Ayew to the edge of the area. Ayew plays it square. Chance for Lanzini. He's buried it. West Ham have scored in added time at the end of the game. Now is that time. It's West Ham 1, Chelsea 2.
That was a good finish from Lanzini. It's a real poor mistake from Azpilicueta. I just said he's 7-8 out of 10 every week. That's the first mistake I've seen him make. It's a poor pass into midfield to Cesc Fabregas, and it was Ayew who played the ball wide to Lanzini, who rifled it into the bottom right-hand corner. You just wonder whether there is still enough chance for West Ham to get back in the game.
Well, they'll only have time surely for one more chance, because we're in the third minute of added time. Game back underway. West Ham 1, Chelsea 2. Well, if Chelsea don't win this match, that's one of the surprises of the season, from 2-0 up and cruising. Carroll heads it on. Ayew is there, but across came Gary Cahill, just whacked it into the air. The bubbles are already being spewed out by the machines. Chelsea clear it away up towards Willian, who loses out in the air to Font, who's appealing for the throw-in, but I think he knows that that's a Chelsea throw on the halfway line. And Slaven Bilic has stood on the ball. Chelsea obviously are in no hurry to take this. We've had the 3 minutes of added time. That goal has just come too late. Finished it well, right side of the area, but just too late. And Chelsea now, talk about football on the walk. Azpilicueta, who Philip Neville says was culpable there, the ball that was played infield to Fabregas. While it was Fabregas who lost possession, it was Azpilicueta's ball. Throw-in taken, then cleared downfield by West Ham, and that's it. The final whistle goes, and the goal did come far too late for West Ham. West Ham 1, Chelsea 2 the score. So Chelsea do the league double over West Ham this season. A couple of 2-1 wins in the league, but it was more comfortable than that, Philip Neville.
No, it was comfortable, particularly in that first half. There could have been moments where Pedro and Hazard could have really scored 2 or 3 goals. 2-1 doesn't look like it was an easy game for Chelsea, but I thought they strolled throughout the game. They're fantastic tonight, particularly on the counter-attack. The back three in particular were outstanding, and I think what we've seen tonight, we've seen the new Premier League champions.
Well, Antonio Conte is out there. He's gone round shaking hands with his players. It's a 10-match unbeaten run now for Chelsea in all competitions, and 10 points is their lead again with 11 matches to play. Final score, West Ham 1, Chelsea 2.